of hip CARs in between sets of hip training. So to make sure we're all on the same page, even though I'm pretty sure everyone in here has done some hip CARs with us at some point, but I always teach it again, just to be clear. With our CARs, keep in mind that nothing should be painful. You can do them from any kind of position. So hopefully I'll get to a couple different positions to do our same hip CARs from. But when we're doing our hip CARs, we want to see no movement from the pelvis. My pelvis here has my ball and sockets swiveling within it, and it's not going to change shape. So I'm going to use this position, the quadruped position, as my first base position to do my hip CARs from, because it's pretty simple to keep your chest square with the floor and coach yourself a little bit. And if you have the opportunity to put like a block or something on your low back, that's always great. Or like a tennis ball if you want to make it really hard. But anything that'll give you feedback, Luis is going to toss me one, awesome. Because then you become a little more aware of if you're starting to move around back there, especially as we bring your knee to your chest, you're going to want to round your back. Or as you kick the ceiling, you're going to want to extend your lumbar extra to fake that hip extension. So you see how I'm raising my knee just by kinking my low back harder? So I want to avoid movements like that during my CARs. If you want to dance like that or whatever, you need it in jiu-jitsu, that's normal. But when we're going to work on our controlled articular rotations, that's what those CARs are, we want to really isolate that joint, practice controlling it alone while controlling everything together and making it move alone. So follow along with me. I'm going to get into my quadruped position, check my armpits. Eyes are going to be pointed right pretty much at my fingertips. And then my knees are underneath my hips. I like to bring my knees in a little bit so I don't have to counterbalance too much. And then I start off by bringing my knee to my chest without rounding my back. I take my knee out towards my elbow without turning my body and dumping my block over. Now I'm going to kick the ceiling and draw my knee out, squeezing my butt. Whoop, I'm kicking thought I hit a spider web for a second. And then I draw my knees in. So the asparagus fern. So that's unique. You're going to think about a pencil sticking out of the tip of your knee and try to draw a big circle with that. Let's do the same thing going the other way. So I'm going to kick back, squeezing my butt, open the knee out towards my armpit, bring it up towards the elbow, towards the chest, squeeze the knees together.
Hey, Kat, I'm seeing some lower back movement.
We're going to go for a minute of practice.
A little bit tight.
I'm going to grab my timer.
Yeah, nice. It might make the circle you make with your knee smaller, but now it's only your hip that we're doing. That's
yes. Good. So we're just drawing a big circle with the tip of your knee here in this quadruped position. I'm watching the clock now. We have 30 more seconds on just this leg. Go both ways, and we will return to this movement a few times. Go backwards and forwards.
Kyle, that's great.
Finish that rep. Oh, I like it. He's doing it from the supine. Hanging off the bed. That's awesome. Take a break or finish your rep and then switch to the other leg. I'm going to take my block and I'm going to put it behind my back. Boom. There we go. And then I'm going to start to draw my hip circle. Let's get a minute going right now. We need Eduardo in the house. Did he get in here yet? Knee to my chest, out to the armpit, kick the ceiling, squeezing my butt, draw it in. Again, I'm trying to draw the biggest circle I can with the tip of my knee. Kick back, open, take it towards the armpit, the chest, and then again, the other way. Working for time, so whether you're going too fast or too slow, there's no too slow on this one, but even if you're going too fast, you're just going to get more reps in. We have about 15 more seconds, so finish off hopefully what feels like you're about even in those directions on that hip. Everyone should wrap up your rep right now. We're gonna do, you made it?
Eduardo.
What's up, Eduardo? Oh, boss. Eduardo's here.
Eduardo.
Welcome. So we're gonna get down into a 90-90 position. We're gonna try to work a little bit of internal rotation because most of us humans that sit too much need it. And we're gonna try to get to a little bit of hamstrings again today because a lot of people were like, oh, thank you. So we'll try to do a seated hamstring version today too, see if that works. For now, we're gonna make a 90-90 position, which I like to call a 90-90-90 because this is a 90-degree angle, this is a 90-degree angle, and this is a 90-degree angle. If you need to, you can lean back all you need. I have my hand out here like a kickstand, and I can lean it out as much as I need to give this hip a break because sometimes coming up really tall or trying to is going to maybe give you a pinch if you're out of room. We want to avoid any pinchiness, but some of you also, so leaning away would take away that pinch. Some of you might also just feel like your spine is having to kink a whole lot and it's uncomfortable in your spine. Then your hand can come out here and give your spine a break, keeping you nice and long while you work on trying to create rotation in this back leg. So I'm going to show you facing this way. Well, if I float like the floor is not there, what I'm trying to do is achieve some more internal rotation of my femur. Internal rotation means that this bone here is rotating inward towards the midline of my body. So I want to turn this way to make the floor create more internal rotation for my hip. I will use my hands, and I usually coach our students to start leaning back and use both hands to turn as if you're trying to bring your butt cheek down to the ground and also reach that knee away. I find that's a helpful cue, is to try to push that knee away from you as you're sitting your butt back, and you can usually start to feel a stretch that's not as nice as a big old glute stretch or stretching out some big meaty spot on your body. This is like a very different kind of, I think it's like a delicate almost sort of stretch. Like you don't want to just slam into it, where most of us can really just go whomp as much as you want into your glutes, for example. But for my internal rotation, when you get better, maybe you feel like you can really just cram over there. But most of us were like, whoa, okay, I'm like feeling like I'm trying to bend some bone over here. It shouldn't feel pinchy or anything, but it should feel like a very subtle stretch in there coming from the top and across. If you feel any pinching on the inside, I want you to lean back more. I want you to push that knee out more. We're avoiding any pinch here. Odds are your pelvis is running into you maybe a little bit or something's not quite right. We want to feel the stretch along here. That's enough talking, because whether you feel the stretch or not, you can train this position, make your hips more awesome. But hopefully you feel something here. It's not a pinch. If you feel a pinch, I gotta know. I'm assuming you don't. Lean back if you have to, and let's start some isometrics together. So let's say I want to turn on the stuff that is on stretch. To achieve that for this leg, in order to make my internal rotation more awesome, I have to talk to what's limiting me. And what's limiting me is the stuff that's on stretch, right? Which is actually the external rotators. But let's not talk about that. So what you're going to think about doing is driving your foot and your knee in the ground. So it's like I'm trying to crush my watch right here. I put it underneath there. I try to push down. Or in other words, if the floor wasn't there, I'd be going, yeah, and rotating my femur away from the midline of my body. I'd be rotating out that way. So you will try that at a light effort. Give me like 10% effort, trying to just push down and see if you can wake up some of the muscles here where you were creating your stretch. So here's my stretch. I'm turning, and I feel something bending up here. Now I'm going to try to drive my leg down, and I start to feel my butt kicking on and some of this stuff kicking on. Let's start to build that up. I'm going to take my 10% effort in the floor, trying to crush something underneath this leg here, like maybe those ants that are crawling up my foot, and build that up to 20%. And 30%, I'm trying to push harder and harder and create that rotation. 40% effort. 50%, keep your abs tight. 60%, armpits tight. Try to go a little harder. 70, 75%, 3/4 of your best effort. We're going to hold that here for 20 seconds. Driving down into the floor with your knee, with your shin, with your foot. You're trying to create this whole rotation. If you're turning this femur, all that stuff's driving in the ground. Give me another 10, 9, 8, not max effort, but close. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ramp down that feeling. And as you ramp down that feeling, I'm trying to see if my butt can go any lower to the floor. So I'm actually kind of relaxing and falling towards the ground a little bit and seeing if there's more room. I felt like I had another ½ an inch or something. I also feel like if I go any further, I have no more room in my hip and I start to pull on my knee. And I feel my knee a little. So I'm going to back out a little. Now I don't feel my knee. I'm going to find my hip again. Another good tactic if you're feeling something wonky in the knee would be to bolster your knee. Like if I took a pad here, that takes a little bit of the strain off of my knee and I can try to find my stretch again. And for some students also, just flexing your leg would help. Flex your leg so that you're protecting it, and then you start to rotate and leave it glued where it was. So we hung out here and we did one hard isometric, about 3/4 of our best effort for about 20 seconds. We're gonna do one more set like that. So get tight, trunk is tight. You can readjust if you need. If you felt you got a little further, you should take that ½ an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and train right there. Now I'm going to drive my foot in the ground with only 10% effort. My foot, my shin, my leg. I'm going to go ahead and ramp up my whole leg too, so it's like I'm ready for a Charlie horse. If someone over here wanted to give me a punch in the quad or that 20% effort, 30% effort, trying to push down and turn on this stuff. 40%, 50, 60, hold 70, 75% effort for 20 seconds. Driving down with whatever force you can make here in your hip. Keep your abs on, keep your butt on both sides. Keep trying to smush the floor. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly ramp down. Chill with this red robin or whatever that just landed right next to me. This bronze-breasted, I don't know. Hey, birdie, what's up? Maybe you guys didn't see right off the camera, but it felt like it was real close to me. Like I felt the wind on my ears as it was flapping down. So now we're going to start to hinge out of here because we've been there for a while. I like to usually face forward and just lean the other way, give this hip a break. I'm turning my whole pelvis away. And then I'm going to go for some flossing. Open up and out. Squeezing my butt and opening. Let's take 5 or 6 reps where you really try to touch the wall behind you. The front leg can't come off the ground. If you are the type of person whose front leg never touched the ground to begin with, it's helpful to put a little pillow or something under there so you can squish on that. And then you have some driving force this way to help you pry those hips open. When you finish 5 or 6, switch to the other side in your favorite way. Oh, counter stretch feels great. So I'm going to go ahead and counter stretch. This is the opposite to the stretch we just did on this leg. I'm going to turn and rotate into external rotation for this leg. And you should feel like, whoo, some of that stuff that was real scrunched up is now getting a stretch. And some of that stuff that was kind of unstretched before is getting a different stretch now. Then we face the back leg. Turn to face the back side. Chest is nice and tall. I'm putting both hands on the ground. Pay attention to the difference that your left and your right side might be experiencing, because odds are there's a difference in your left and your right side for a lot of us. And so even this stretch feels different from this side compared to that side. You might need both hands on one side and less on the other. For me, I'm like, I can't even turn as much as I could on the other side to get this hand comfortably down. That's where a good old yoga block is helpful. Boom. But anything works. Doing 90-90 by a wall is awesome. Or a couch or something. Just throw your arm up on there and help you corkscrew a little more and stuff. It's always good having things nearby. So find your stretch. We want it to be along the top and the back. Top and back. side of your, maybe where your pant seam would be here on the side is a good origin area to feel your stretch high up. In here in the crotch area or where the pelvis is meeting on the inside, not so good an area to be explored. Maybe if you have a lot of pinching and stuff, we can talk about it. Just let us know. I would like to assess you further. Now we're going to work together on our isometrics. Remember, I want to try to drive. Let me fix my angle. It's a little better. 90, 90, 90 approximately. Start to drive this back leg down. Give me like 10% effort. Make sure you feel that work happening from up here. So position yourself whatever it takes so that you can feel like, okay, now my butt's kind of driving in the ground, even if it means lay all the way down. Now build that up to 20%. Trying to drive down. I'm rotating this in the floor. Build that up to 30%. 40, 50, 60, 70. Now that I'm working, I feel like I can adjust a little bit. Hold 70, 75% effort for these 20 seconds. You should be breathing behind the shield. That means that you're pretty much ready for a punch. Your front leg should be glued to the ground. Your butt cheeks should be squeezed. Give me another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly, slowly, slowly ramp it down. Woo! Oh, yeah. Now my left side's talking to me. After my hip surgery, my left side is, it was never quite the same as my right side, which is why I got hip surgery, but it just doesn't talk like the other side does. I can't quite get that neural activation. I should do more of my own homework, but, I love kettlebells so much, I'd rather do that sometimes. But then when I'm practicing with y'all, I really feel a difference, and I'm reminded I got to get on some homework later, too, because it was like towards the end of that whole 20-second hold that I was like, oh, yeah, now I feel my butt working and everything working, even though I'm positioned the same way and I'm trying. And that's a common thing for students to have trouble feeling the stuff that you're looking for. You want to feel it where you want to feel it, which means really like if you're not sure what you're supposed to feel, ask. If it doesn't feel good, back off, listen to your body, and then let us know. And also, it takes practice, and it takes being in your body to feel it right. We're going to go for our last set now. We've had plenty of rest. Let's start to build up our pressure, pushing through the floor. I want 10% back here, trying to drive down to the ground. Abs are tight. Nice, Daniel. Build that up to 20%. I see him leaned away very nicely. 30%, pushing down like I'm trying to create this corkscrew. 40%, 50%, 60%. I'm going to squeeze everything tight and go 70, 75% effort in the ground. Hold that feeling for these 20 seconds. Give yourself a little knock here if you need to. I see John Morrison trying to wake up some glutes and stuff. That's always good. You want to feel this stuff. Having your hand here can help you to turn it on harder. Give me another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly ramp it down. Woo! I like to oscillate a little bit. Tell my body, I'm the boss. Don't tell me to get out of here yet. But if it's telling you to get out of there, that's okay now. Lean away and go for some flosses. Woo, wake up that leg. 1, 3, 4, 5, let's do 6. Yeah, number 6, I swivel out. I like to pause here because it feels great. Swivel over to the other side. Counter stretch. Oh, yes. So the same leg that we just worked hard on, we're just stretching the opposite way. Lean to whatever feels good. Keep your back flat, though. Try to keep your back flat and your breastbone nice and tall. Now we go back to a couple hip CARs. Oh, did we just get a change in the lineup? So you're going to switch over to your quadruped again. and you're going to try to draw those hip circles. The same rotation that we just worked on is that internal rotation. So behind my back, it's like I'm doing this. I'm internally rotating and reaching out. So make sure that you try to feel that a little bit. We just trained that rotation right there. I hope that was clear and I didn't just flash everyone with my butt cheeks. Hope you saw what my leg was doing. Opening out and then take it into my armpit, into my chest. Got to say my hips feel a lot more butterier. I want 2 because we're going to do a little more. So just use these 2 slow reps to kind of scope out how those hips are feeling. Try not to let your low back go anywhere. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They feel great. We should do this every morning, y'all. So I'm going to set up to finish off as promised on a little seated hamstring work. A lot of students will kind of make a figure 4 stretch here to stretch their hamstring out. Some students are uncomfortable with their leg in this posture, and this leg doesn't really matter for this stretch. So you can kind of put this leg where you need it. Off to the side, fold it in. Sometimes I put it underneath here, like especially if you have very tight hamstring, it's not going to be all the way straight anyway to get a good stretch, or it doesn't need to be all the way straight. So your foot can sneak under that space sometimes, right? I always advise our students to start off with a bend in the knee. So you can see my knee is clearly bent, I hope. And I'm going to pull my toes back to start to take some slack out of here. Slack off of here. And then I'm going to straighten my leg a little bit, but not all the way straight. And I'm going to think about trying to reach my chest nice and tall. So from here, if I tip myself forward, I can start to make a hamstring stretch. You can even grab onto your leg if you'd like and pull yourself forward. But I'm trying to keep my low back, it's not perfectly flat, but I'm trying, as I make an effort to flatten it out, I get more hamstring stretch. So I'm trying to make my stretch from here with a soft knee and with the flattest back I can make. I happen to be able to reach my foot, so I'm going to grab it. But you can hang on to any part of your leg and use that as your anchor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull into a more flat back position, right? So if I can grab my foot, I'm going to try to pull my low back flat. Is that clear? I don't want to hang out like this. If I can avoid that, I want to be whether maybe I grab onto my leg here. That's fine. I'm going to do a little row and pull myself proud. And that's going to increase my stretch. So we're hanging onto this front leg with both hands, let's just say, everyone, or get comfortable. Make sure you feel something happening on the back here. I'll face you guys now this way so we can all talk about this leg right here, right? So I'm hanging on, whatever it takes. I try to straighten my leg out a little bit. I get my back more flat and tall. I'm going to hang on right here because this feels pretty good. I feel a stretch back here. Find your stretch. If you feel no stretch, then you're a mutant. No, I'm kidding. It just means that you're going to have to use like a standing variation or something where it's a little easier to bow into that hamstring, right? So from here, I'm hanging on to my foot. I'm going to do the same kind of feeling. I want to engage what's on stretch. So if my stuff back here is on stretch, I'm going to start to pull down into the ground with my heel. Like I'm doing a hamstring curl, like I'm trying to bend my knee and bring my heel to my butt, but the floor is in the way. And I'm not going to let that change. So I'm going to just start off isometrically. Give me like 10% effort, driving your heel down. Feel that hamstring. Build it up to 20%. Pushing down to the floor like you're trying to claw your heel in closer. Let's go 30%, 40%, 50, or it's like I'm trying to pull my heel down into my own hands right here. 60, give me 70, 75% effort here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. See if you can get more stretch going. See if you can get your heel further away. This floor is rough, so I'm going to pop my heel up a little bit, but it's all the same stuff. Now we're going to switch sides, same deal. We'll do a couple more drills from the same position here, but let's say I throw my foot out here in front of me. and I try to make my stretch position. Put a little bend in the knee. Try to straighten out my back. My left side, never cooperative. Other leg can be out to the side if you need it or whatever, but usually I'll fold it in or even underneath here. Make my leg a little longer. Make sure both knees are comfortable. Find your stretch. Now from here, there we go. Yes. Start to dig into the floor. Give me 10% effort, pushing down the floor. Build it up to 20%, 30%. Pulling your heel down or trying to engage your hamstring. 40%, 50, 60. Hold that 70, 75% effort. Trying to pull that hamstring in for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. See if you can get a little more. My left side is tight. Maybe I should angle it out more. Yes, that does help. Switch back to the first leg. Imagine your feet were directly in front of you. And just pull one leg in. We're going to do a couple lifts from that front leg. You can get whatever angle you want to start with, but keep in mind that I only want you to get off the ground like an inch. So if you lean all the way back here and you can lift off this far with a straight leg, that means it's too easy. So this is an okay time to round your back if you need to or whatever, also to try to get more forward. But if your back was more flat, that would be more awesome. It's not required in this drill. We're going to try to work on lifting. You're probably going to cramp your quad because your quad is not that good at getting really tight when it's all the way shortened here in this fully lengthened position. That's okay though. Try to eat that cramp. We're going to go for 3 reps per side. We're going to hold for 5 seconds each. So maybe I'll demo first to make sure we're all on the same page. We did a couple of these, I believe, last week or the week before. Get tight. Lift your heel forward and up and try to hold that position right there. So even that was like a lot of lift off for me. I could, if I wanted, put that block there instead and then lift off only a little bit from that block, right? Or I can try to lean forward more. If I can hang on to something, maybe I'll grab onto the corner of this mat right here. And then when I get my lift off, it's very little off the ground. And the struggle. You're training the opposite side now. Let's try it out together. Find your position. If it was too easy the first set because your foot came up real high, work hard anyway. And then try to make it harder the next round, either by bolstering the foot or leaning forward further. Leg will be nearly straight. Heel first, lifting and driving. Let's go ahead and get our first rep. Lift and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down with control. Imagine you had a tennis ball or something in this space, or if you could literally grab something and put it there and then try to crush that with your thigh. That would be great. Get ready, round 2. And I'm going to try to crush this block now. Lift and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here comes that quad cramp. Feels good. Not really, but, you know, I just tell myself that so that I keep training. Trick yourself into enjoying it. And then
Good for you.
it's good for you. One more good one. We're going to try to lift up and hold for 5, 4, 3,
Abs on.
2, 1. Whoo! Cramps coming back. Oh, yes. And then we're going to switch to the other side. But why do we do this? Aside from we enjoy the faces people make when they cramp, is that you want to train the opposite side, at least neurologically, to have the ability to turn on and pull yourself into that stretch, right? If you make the long hamstrings and you have all the room, but then you don't have the strength on the opposite side to kick someone in the head, then it's not a very useful range of motion. So this is where we have to condition both sides of the joint to be ready to own a new range of motion. Mostly we want to train the stuff that's stopping you, like that hamstring is limiting you from getting further forward. So we started there training the hamstring. But then it's also important to, in order to be able to use that new longer hamstring down the road, you need to have stronger stuff up here that's not just going to cramp instantly as soon as you try to bring your leg up that high, for example. And some of you are feeling it. So let's get in these last 3, and then we're doing cars, and then we're finishing off some upper body for anyone who can hang out. I know it's 11:31. Last set together, they're each 5 seconds. We'll be done in 15 seconds if you got to go. So I lied, 25 seconds. Now lift and hold for your first rep. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. That was a little bit high for my standards, so I'm going to put a block under my leg, make my life harder, because it's harder for me to lean forward right now with more objects or without them. Rep 2, lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's the cramp that I was looking for, because I know if I challenge myself enough, it'll happen. And then last one, get tight, armpits on, and lift and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoo! Last 2 reps for crampers. That was good. Now we would finish off with a couple more of those cars. And then
to go along with your comment, I don't know if anybody else was reading the comments. Oh, bye, Kyle.
Gotta go. See ya. Thanks for joining.
This is great because if you know you're the type of person that's limited in their hamstring range, and you know that you have some lower back issues, like a good example is like jiu-jitsu guard playing or sitting for long periods of time. This is a great way to train your nervous system to rely less on your lower back.
If we're doing the hamstring training and all you feel is your low back working, you should change your position. And then that's a sign, like Melissa was just saying, that you need to train that area. Your body is mixing the signals. Maybe you're relying on your low back every time you need to be using your hamstrings, for example, like when you're bending forward. The two are coupled. So isometrics are like teaching reps. You're teaching your body to use the hamstring instead of the low back, but only if you're mindful enough to get that training out of it. Because if you just go hard and all that turns on is your low back, well, that's just how it goes. Like you're going to end up continuing to train yourself to rely on your low back. You have to be mindful and in your body enough to tell yourself, oh, I'm starting to feel my low back. Let me dial back my attention and then make sure I feel it only in the hamstring, for example, or the glute, like when we're doing our deadlifts and stuff. It's like you got to try to feel the thing, or it's not, unless you're naturally born athlete or you've been taught somewhere else and you do it by accident, it's not necessarily going to happen on its own just because you look like you're doing the thing.
That's also why some people, maybe they don't feel their lower back in the deadlift because it's slow enough and they're being deliberate enough, but then they feel their lower back in the swing because things are happening so fast and their system isn't trained quite yet to use their core as the default. They're still using their lower back as the default. But it just depends. But teaching reps, yes.
Get in a couple of those hip circles per side. You should do literally a couple, like 2 would be great. You should feel also a big difference from when you first started the class, hopefully. I feel like my legs are ready to go on some heavy deadlifts like we were just talking about. But let's continue on with a little bit upper body. Like before Eduardo leaves, got to do some shoulders. Got to do some neck for everyone because of Zoom. So find any lower body posture that you want. And we're going to do some shoulder circles. Start with your hands by your side and draw me a few scapula circles. You can draw with your shoulder blades only, all the way around. I like to keep my hands like just by my pockets, because if they're rolling forward, then I'm definitely cheating through my glenohumeral joint. If they're rolling back behind me too much also, I might be rotating through here. I pretty much just want to make a smooth path next to my body, as if I have a pencil sticking out of the side of my shoulder, and I'm going to try to draw the biggest circle I can with, or rectangle really, with that pencil. So give me a few reps per direction. Actually, keep going back and forth for the rest of this minute. Let's take that and turn it into 40 more seconds. And you'll go, if you already did a few forward, go a few backwards. Then I like to go forward and backwards, or 2 and 2, something like that. I'm just drawing my scapula around, my shoulder blades around in the biggest circle I can make. You got another 10 seconds, so wrap up those reps. Make sure you feel approximately even. Good, good. Shake your arms out a little bit. work on the ball and socket now. So your scapula is not allowed to move. Any lower body posture you want is not going to change. You got to block around. Sometimes I like to hug a block or something to make me aware here. Also, I'll just hug my ribs. Either one is fine. Now, draw a big circle with the tip of your fingers. I haven't given you any extra cues yet. So for your first rep, just draw the biggest circle you can and focus on turning your hand all the way over on this first rep so that your hand is turned this way behind your back. That's internal rotation. And then you finish and start in the same place. Swivel out. Maybe that was a poor rep as I showed you because I was turning to look at the camera, but oh, I see someone is at our door also. But next rep, you're going to try to keep your scapula pinned down and back. 1 minute on the clock now. Your shoulder blade is not allowed to join the party, and you'll draw me circles on this arm. Elbows got to stay straight. Keep turning that arm all the way over and reverse. The focus is on having excellent movement and not necessarily excellent range of motion if that's just not what you got. So what you're trying to do is show me you can control your shoulder through space without your elbow jumping in thinking it's your ball and socket, or your scapula jumping in thinking it's your ball and socket. There's going to be a little bit of rotation in your scapula sometimes here and there, especially as we're reaching up and stuff, it might shift upwards. That's part of the game, but your shoulders are not going to suddenly rise up into your ears, for example, right? Especially as we turn backwards. We have another 10 seconds, so finish that rep off. Cynthia should have been in class. And then we go right to the other side. That was 1 minute, switch sides. So start the same way. Maybe your first rep, you're not too concerned about your shoulder blade, although I would like you to, but focus a lot on rotation. Essentially what I'm trying to say is each rep can get harder and harder. Your first rep can be kind of an easy rep where you're just scoping it out. Reach backwards. First thing in the morning, just scope it out. But then after that, they're training reps. Try to focus on trying to engage your muscles and fight yourself as you bring your arm by your ear. Stay tight as you turn and reach back. 30 more seconds. Last 10 seconds. Nicely done. I'm seeing a lot of good control. Shoulders aren't shrugging like crazy. Finish off that rep. And then go for some neck CARs. So you can keep your hands by your side here. You can hug your body if you want and make sure you don't cheat this way at all. And you're going to draw the biggest circle you can with the tip of your chin. So I will start with my chin drawn down as far as I can. I will twist, twist and lean, lean and extend, twist all the way the other way, twist and lean, lean and come into your flexion, and same thing the other way. Twist, twist, lean, lean, extend. Twist, lean, come into flexion. 1 minute. Let's do it. Make them look great. I just started my clock. I'll do one more here. Any posture is good. So I see Jason's in quadruped. That's awesome. You can just work from here and draw your circles this way. So as I'm working through my next circle, I'm thinking about the stretches that I feel and the muscles that I feel engaging. If you don't feel a stretch on the opposite side, that's not necessarily bad, but that's what you're expecting to feel. You want to feel that there's nothing going on the side that you're leaning towards or you're twisting towards. So that would be ideal. If you do feel something going on, like as I turn and lean this way, I start to feel restriction on the side I'm leaning towards. I also feel some stretch, but that restriction there It means that you're kind of out of room most of the time, so respect that. Coast along it. Adjust your circle if needed to be an oval or whatever. And then try to really stretch the opposite side without shifting your shoulders. Last 3, 2, 1, and that's all we got for today. If you want to work more on your own, you should do the same thing we did with our neck for the rest of your spine. If you're doing them right now, I'd coach you on it anyway. It's always good. Or I would check and see if anything needs to be adjusted. But I know we're at 11:41, so I promise to keep the class no more than 10 minutes over time for some students. I like that people stay for the 40. That's awesome. And here's a good time to ask me questions if you got any. We did a lot of hip stuff, so your hips should feel a little different. Internal rotation is usually the biggest bang for your buck thing to work on. Make that ball and socket swivel better, and then everything gets better. You could work on your hamstrings all day, but if your ball and socket can't swivel, you're not going to be able to bring your leg up very far, for example, right? Because the main function of that ball and socket joint is to swivel around. We first prioritized that, did some training there, spent a lot of time there, and then we started working on some of the more linear stuff, like everyone wants to be able to fold forward more easily, tie your shoes or deadlift better or squat better. And so get those hammies stretched out, undo some of that sitting is always useful. We did a lot of practice reps in the full circle to kind of save our work. And then we blasted on some upper body real quick. See a question from Dave. He just, oh, great. I'm glad, right? There's a ton of ways to work on it. So if that way you're not feeling your hip as much, you didn't feel as much progress, let us know, and I'll show you guys another variation. If everyone's got dowels and stuff, there's some good variations that we can do using some equipment for assistance. And of course, if you're in here with us at the gym after quarantine, then we can help you set up in a lot of different ways with some of the equipment that we have in the gym to help you really feel the right stuff. But that's all we got for today. Check out our website. Let us know if you have questions. Also, we have bodyweight training today at 5 o'clock. Everyone in this class should be eligible to join us for that class.